After another failed round of IVF, my wife slapped me across the face, screaming that I was useless, that I couldn't even give her a child. In the ensuing argument, we stumbled and fell down the stairs. We both died. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day my wife confessed her feelings for me. As I locked eyes with Vanessa Reed, standing opposite me, I knew she had been reborn too. Without a moment's hesitation, she handed the bouquet she was holding to the rich kid who'd been chasing her for 2 years and declared her love for him. I just as decisively turned and walked away. On my way out, I blocked her number and deleted her from my contacts. The next time we met, she was a renowned painter pulling up in a luxury sedan for our daughter's first day of school. When she saw me arriving on a bicycle, she sneered. "It's been years, Caleb. Is this the best you could do?" I almost feel sorry for the woman who'd go through IVF for a guy like you. I thought about the infertility diagnosis Vanessa had received in our past life, then glanced at the little girl beside her who looked nothing like her. I smiled. "You've got me there. It must be tough being a stepmom at your age." I wheeled my bicycle over to the school entrance, my daughter perched on the back. As we approached, I could hear the whispers rippling through the crowd of parents. "Isn't that a Rolls Royce? That model has to be worth $500,000. That mom is obviously a success, and she still drives her kid to school herself. Rich, beautiful, a world away from my wife, who just scrolls through TikTok watching thirst traps all day. Well, yeah, you can't compare normal people like us to big-shot CEOs in sports cars." I turned my head and my gaze collided with Vanessa's. It was the first time we'd seen each other in years. A flash of contempt crossed her eyes as she looked me up and down. "This is what you've become after all this time." I've been in a rush this morning, throwing on the first t-shirt and jeans I could find. I looked like any other tired, overworked guy, the kind who disappears into a crowd. Maybe the fact that I was tall and had clear skin saved me from looking completely washed up. I gave a casual nod, offering a simple greeting. "Long time no see." Vanessa nodded back, her expression cold and distant. But when her eyes landed on the child next to me, they widened, fixing on my daughter's face. My daughter, who is the spitting image of me. As luck would have it, our daughters were placed in the same class. After the opening ceremony, Vanessa looked at me with an expression brimming with disgust and triumph. "Caleb, it's your daughter's first day. Couldn't you have at least put on a decent shirt? Kids are sensitive. You walk around dressed like a janitor all day. Don't you think that makes her feel insecure? Do you get that at all? And look at your daughter. TSK. She can't hold a candle to mine." She was warming up now, pressing closer, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "But I have to admit, I'm surprised. I never thought you'd be able to have a kid, Caleb. A man who's destined to spend his life on a bicycle, hauling his kid to school through rain and shine. Your wife was actually willing to go through IVF for you." I glanced at Vanessa, then at the daughter she was so proud of. In our last life, Vanessa constantly mocked me for being infertile. But I was the only one who knew the truth. The one who couldn't have children wasn't me. Did she have any idea where that child of hers came from? Or had her husband pulled some trick to make her believe the girl was her own flesh and blood? Seeing my silence, she continued her tirade. "Leaving you was the best decision I ever made. I'm a famous artist now. A single painting of mine can sell for 6 figures. You've probably never even seen that much money in your life, have you?" The more she spoke, the more smug she became, the mockery on her face growing more pronounced. She pulled out the key fob to her Rolls Royce and dangled it in front of my face. "Take a good look. This is the life I was meant to live. Caleb, when you blocked my number without a second thought, you never imagined this day would come. Did you? Do you regret it now? In our last life, when Vanessa and I were married, she dreamed of being an artist. But the truth was her talent was limited. She never sold a single painting. To support her dream, I drained our savings until we couldn't even afford an electric scooter, let alone a luxury car." The boastful tone in her voice now was painfully genuine. "Congratulations on getting everything you ever wanted," I said, my voice flat. I didn't even glance at the car keys she was waving in my face. I had a whole drawer full of keys just like that at home. My lack of reaction clearly wasn't the one she wanted. Vanessa's face fell, her displeasure obvious. She practically spat the words through her teeth. "You're not even a little bit jealous?" I really wasn't. But before I could say so, a sarcastic voice cut in from behind me. Well, if it isn't Caleb Mitchell." Brandon Hayes, dressed in a tailored suit, sauntered over with his hands in his pockets. "Long time no see. You know, I really ought to thank you." As he spoke, he draped an arm around Vanessa's shoulders, a smug grin on his face. "Vanessa told me you used to look down on her all the time, made her feel insecure. That's what made her finally realize what a great guy I am. Mitchell, you were practically our matchmaker. Then again, you should probably take a look in the mirror, see what you're really worth. A guy like you. Brandon scanned me from head to toe, making a clicking sound with his tongue. Looks like you haven't done too well for yourself. No surprise there. What normal woman would want a deadbeat like you? His words left me baffled. In this life, Vanessa and I had never even dated, let alone had a relationship where I could look down on her. To make Brandon love her more, she'd resorted to slandering me with such shameless lies. It was pathetic. I was about to retort, what kind of person I am. Daddy, a small, sweet voice called out from behind me. My daughter came running toward me, holding up a gold star sticker the teacher had just given her. But Vanessa stepped in front of her, blocking her path. She crouched down, feigning a friendly smile. Hi there, sweetie. I'm a friend of your daddy's. You can call me Auntie Vanessa. As she spoke, she gave my daughter's cheek a vicious pinch. The skin on a child's face is delicate. A red mark appeared instantly. I shoved her hand away. Vanessa, what the hell are you doing? She shrugged nonchalantly. Your kid is cute. Can't I even touch her? What, is she made of glass? Honestly, I'm worried about her. Didn't you see how chapped her lips are? She needs some water. She pulled a thermos from her purse. The moment she opened it, steam billowed out. It was clearly filled with boiling water. I yanked my daughter back and pulled her behind me. We're fine, thanks. Too good for me? What's wrong with having a little sip? Vanessa ignored my refusal, advancing on my daughter with a thermos of hot water. Instinctively, I pushed her away. The boiling water splashed all over Vanessa. Her skin immediately turned red, but she seemed oblivious to the pain, frantically trying to wipe the liquid off her clothes and her handbag. My new dress. My bag. They can't get wet, she muttered. The parents watching the scene unfold could tell her outfit was expensive. They shot me looks filled with pity. After wiping herself down, Vanessa glared at me. Caleb, I know you're jealous of me. I know you hate me. You resent my success. But I never thought you'd be so disgusting as to ruin my clothes and my bag. Don't think I'll let you off the hook just because we used to know each other. You're going to pay for this. You hear me? You're going to pay. Brandon stepped forward and shoved me. Mitchell, you've gone too far. Vanessa was just trying to give your kid some water. Not only are you ungrateful, but you threw it all over her. A kind gesture? Who offers a 7-year-old child a drink of scalding hot water? I took 2 steps back, keeping my daughter protectively behind me. She clung to me, clutching her gold star sticker so tightly her knuckles were white. Don't you bully my daddy. Vanessa shot my daughter a look of annoyance before turning back to me, her eyes glinting as if she'd read my mind. She spoke loud enough for everyone to hear. Caleb, you saw my success, you saw my handsome, rich, young husband, and then you looked at your own pathetic life. It just broke you, didn't it? You wanted to hurt me. The parents nearby began to murmur among themselves. Wow, you can't judge a book by its cover. I thought Lily's dad seemed so nice, but he's incredibly petty. Is it a crime for someone to be more successful than him? I've been watching for a while. It looks like he used to have a thing with that beautiful woman, but she wasn't interested. So he just snapped and threw hot water on her. He could have scarred her for life. That's just evil. You really can't trust anyone these days. We should stay away from him. And keep our kids away from his kid, too. Who knows if she inherited his bad genes? We don't need that kind of trouble. The gossip grew more and more outrageous. I let out a bitter laugh. The more they talked, the more I needed to set the record straight. First of all, it was an accident. And second, who in their right mind give a 7-year-old boiling hot water to drink? And third, as a father, I don't want my child accepting things from strangers. Is there something wrong with that? Vanessa stared at me coldly. Stop making excuses, Caleb. I see right through you. You're still hung up on me. You regret it now, don't you? I looked her straight in the eye. Regret what? Vanessa lifted her chin, her face a mask of arrogance. I'm a famous painter. I have my own studio. I'm rich, I'm beautiful, and I have an amazing daughter. You let a woman like me slip through your fingers. Of course you regret it. You must be joking, I said firmly. I don't regret a single thing. Hearing this, Vanessa let out a cold laugh, clearly unconvinced. You're just as stubborn as ever. Is it that hard to admit you regret it when you see your ex doing better than you? When you see my daughter is better than yours? Watching Vanessa flaunt her wealth and her so-called biological daughter, desperately trying to prove how different her life was now, I could only find it laughable. Her daughter looked nothing like her. Was she genuinely blind to it, or was she playing dumb? Did she have no memory of whether she had ever been pregnant, ever given birth? It was baffling, but I had no desire to get tangled up with them. Fine, tell me how much the bag and the dress cost. I'll wire you the money. You'll pay. Vanessa sneered. Do you have any idea what this outfit is worth? This bag alone, I had to spend 20 grand on other crap just to get on the wait list for it. 20,000. Can you afford that? Why do they always look down on people? If I said I'd pay, did they really think I couldn't come up with the money? I took a deep breath, steadying myself. You're right. The clothes I wear and the bike I ride aren't expensive. But that doesn't mean I can't afford to pay you. Just give me your account details. Brandon laughed dismissively. Look, I'm not trying to make things hard for you. I get it. When a barren hen suddenly has a chick, she's going to be fiercely protective. But you're a real saint, aren't you? Defending a kid that isn't even your own blood. It's pathetic. My vision went cold. In a flash, I moved, striking Brandon hard across the face. I've had enough of you. Your daughter is the bastard. For a split second, Brandon's face was a mask of stunned disbelief. Then, it twisted into rage. Caleb, are you insane? He shrieked, his voice cracking. Are you some kind of psycho? But I hadn't missed the flicker of shame in his eyes. So, there was a secret after all. Just then, Vanessa rushed forward and shoved me hard. My daughter quickly steadied me, stepping in front of me to shield me. If you bully my daddy again, I'm going to get mad. My daughter's teacher, drawn by the commotion, hurried over. Please, let's all calm down, she pleaded. We can talk this through. Calm down? Did you see who threw the first punch? Vanessa's voice was shrill, her long fingernails nearly poking my eye. Caleb, I've been more than patient with you. You're a pathetic, washed-up loser. How dare you lay a hand on my husband? Who the hell do you think you are? I don't need you to be patient with me. He insulted my daughter in front of everyone. Am I not allowed to defend her? I retorted coldly, but I refused to let the trash from my past life drag my wife and daughter into this. I had to handle this perfectly. I already said I'll pay for the damages. But your husband wouldn't let it go. He resorted to slander and malicious rumors about me and my child. And don't worry, I'm a law-abiding citizen. I'll compensate him for his medical bills from the slap, too. Before I could finish, Vanessa laughed again, her voice dripping with malice. Caleb, are you delusional? Who are you trying to impress? Pretending to be some big shot. Can you even afford it? I met her gaze, enunciating each word. Give me your account. You really need to control that temper of yours, Caleb. Otherwise, we wouldn't have ended up here. Do you even know how much this will cost? At least $75,000. Are you really going to bankrupt yourself just to prove a point? I was done with her lectures. Give me the account. I repeated, my voice rising with impatience. Seeing my resolve, Vanessa didn't hesitate. She pulled up a QR code on her phone. I opened my banking app, ready to make the transfer. But when the password prompt appeared, I froze. After so many years of marriage, I never handled our finances directly. I couldn't quite remember the password. I typed one in. Password incorrect. I tried another one. Still wrong. I guess I've been living the good life for too long. My memory was failing me. Vanessa and Brandon stood there, her phone held out, waiting. The other parents had all stopped to watch the show. When the money didn't transfer, Brandon let out a derisive laugh. What's the matter, Caleb? Weren't you putting on a big show? Where's the money? My wife's arm is getting tired, and you haven't sent a single dime. What's the problem? Don't tell me you've hit your transfer limit. Everyone could see that Vanessa's phone remained silent. It's been a while since I've used this, I explained. I forgot the password. Ha ha ha. Brandon howled with laughter. That's the best excuse you could come up with? You're priceless. Vanessa's eyes were full of contempt. Even the onlookers started whispering again. I actually thought Lily's dad was going to take responsibility. Turns out it was all talk. Who forgets their password these days? He's not stupid. Pay out 75 grand? His life would be over. The other couple was ready to let him off, but he had to act like a big shot. They called his bluff, and now he's screwed. He really stepped in it this time. How humiliating. Brandon sized me up. So what's the plan? You gonna pay in installments? Take out a payday loan? A guy like you would be lucky to get approved for 10 grand. You're not going to spend the rest of your life paying off this 75,000, are you? I sighed in frustration. Forgetting the password was something I hadn't anticipated. Is there a terminal? I could just use my card. The credit card my wife gave me didn't have a PIN. I never needed one. Can you just stop pretending? Is it that hard to admit you're broke and pathetic? Vanessa snapped, clearly done with my excuses. $75,000. If you can't pay up, Caleb, you could go to jail. Brandon smiled. I was just going to let you off with an apology. But now that you've wasted so much of our time, you're going to have to get on your knees and beg me. The crowd chuckled, eager for more drama. Just then, a sleek, familiar voice cut through the noise. Who needs to get on their knees? Isabel Grant was walking toward us. Trailing behind her were the school's principal and several board members. Gasps rippled through the crowd. It's Isabel Grant, the richest woman in L. What's she doing here? She moved through the throng of parents and came straight to my side. She took in the scene, her brow furrowing slightly as she sensed the tense atmosphere. What's going on? Vanessa's art studio had been trying to secure a partnership with Grant Industries for months. She was desperate to get in Isabel's good graces. "Ms. Grant, it's just a small misunderstanding," she said, her tone fawning. She turned to her husband. "Brandon, let's not stoop to his level. Ms. Grant is here. There's no need to make a scene and embarrass ourselves." But Brandon was a spoiled rich kid, used to getting his way. He hated seeing his wife act so deferential. "So what if Ms. Grant is here?" he said loudly, full of arrogance. "Am I supposed to just forgive this loser for being an ass and let him walk all over me?" Everyone here saw it. He threw boiling water on my wife. She was going to let it go, but he was completely ungrateful. He even slapped me. Then he promised to pay, but hasn't produced a cent. He's making fools of us. Am I wrong to demand he kneel and apologize? "Ms. Grant, I'm just trying to get some justice here. Surely that's not wrong. Is that so?" Isabel turned to me, a gentle smile playing on her lips. "Were you really that brave? Throwing hot water and slapping people?" "Ms. Grant, you don't know what he's like," Brandon pressed on. "I'm a decent person. I don't like to speak ill of others. But some men just don't know their place. They're just asking for it. He's jealous that I'm with Vanessa. Thinks he lost the woman of his dreams. So he's deliberately making trouble for me." Brandon pointed at the water stains on Vanessa's purse. "Ms. Grant, you recognize this. It's an Hermes. You know that getting this bag alone costs a fortune in other purchases, right?" Isabel's expression grew darker. Seeing this, Brandon became even more animated. A social climber like him probably recognized it too. He just figured we were old acquaintances and wouldn't make him pay. So he pushed his luck. "Are you really jealous of him?" Isabel turned to me, her voice laced with mock hurt. I sighed. "Of course not. Are you crazy?" "True. He's got nothing on me," she said, sizing up Vanessa with a dismissive glance before turning her attention back to me. Brandon, seeing Isabel's expression soften, grew annoyed. "Ms. Grant, don't tell me you've fallen for this charity case. His entire outfit probably cost $9.99 with free shipping." Isabel nodded thoughtfully. "That's wonderful. Spend where you must. Save where you can. He's so good at managing a household." My face flushed red at her praise, but Isabel said it with such sincerity, as if it were the highest compliment in the world. The principal and board members who had followed her looked stunned. I imagined they had never seen this side of Isabel Grant. After all, no one knew that the titan of industry, Isabel Grant, was desperate to get married, and had tied the knot the moment she was legally old enough. Having been reborn, I had no intention of getting married again. The journey from mutual love to mutual resentment was too painful, too suffocating to endure a second time. But Isabel hadn't pursued me with grand gestures. Instead, whenever I needed someone, she was always the first one there. I gradually came to realize that there really were women as gentle as water, women who were willing to stand by my side and face anything with me. They didn't blame their own lack of success on their husbands. They didn't treat their husbands like animals. My last life wasn't a failure of marriage itself. It was a failure of the two people in it, Vanessa and me. We were never right for each other. So I took a chance and was brave one more time. This time I didn't lose. Isabel asked with a hint of concern. "Are you okay? What's the situation?" "I haven't paid for anything myself in so long. I've completely forgotten the password. Can you transfer them $75,000 for me?" I answered, embarrassed. "Show me the QR code." At her words, Isabel gestured for Vanessa to hold out her phone. Everyone present was stunned. The color drained from Vanessa's face. "Ms. Grant, this is between us and an old classmate. We couldn't possibly take your money." "Caleb, you are pathetic." Brandon was practically seething with jealousy. "Seducing a woman into paying your debts for you. Right here at school? Ms. Grant is kind, but you're not actually shameless enough to accept it, are you?" He couldn't understand it. How could a man who looked so broke always have women coming to his rescue? "This is my business too," Isabel said coolly. "The QR code. I don't want to repeat myself." There was a hint of pride in her voice when she said it. Vanessa and Brandon were furious, but they didn't dare defy Isabel. Their goal had been to humiliate me, to use my perceived failure to highlight their superior lives. Reluctantly, Vanessa held up her phone again. A few seconds later, the $75,000 hit her account. "Ms. Grant," Brandon screeched in disbelief. "Are you really going to be a sucker and pay $75,000 for this jerk?" Isabel's voice turned icy. "Watch your language, sir. If you speak disrespectfully about my husband again, I will see you in court." Everyone on the scene froze. It took a moment for Isabel's words to register. Brandon looked utterly baffled. Your husband? Can't be. Caleb Mitchell, can it?" Isabel stepped between me and my daughter, pulling me into a hug that effectively shielded our child. What? Don't we look like a good match? My daughter rolled her eyes dramatically. Caleb, you married Isabel Grant. Brandon's voice became a shrill cry of disbelief. Then why are you pretending to be poor? Why are you riding a bicycle? My daughter, however, looked thrilled. Mister, don't you think bicycles are super cool? She was right. Ever since she started kindergarten, she'd been envious of the other parents who rode bikes to drop off their kids. To make her happy, I'd started riding my dad's old bicycle that he used for morning grocery runs. The realization that they had been mocking a man who was exponentially wealthier than them hit Brandon and Vanessa like a ton of bricks. Their faces turned crimson with shame. Just moments ago, they had been convinced that I was living in poverty, that I must be burning with envy for their high-flying lifestyle. They never imagined that I was already living in a world they couldn't even touch. They knew Isabel Grant wasn't just the CEO of a leading corporation. She was the wealthiest person in a self-made billionaire who had built an empire at a young age. They couldn't even get a meeting with her through their connections. Yet here they were, mocking her legally wed husband, a business magnate in his own right. The shame was unbearable. Like weeds in the wind, the other parents instantly changed their tune, their gazes turning on Vanessa and Brandon with contempt, scolding them for being so judgmental. After learning about my connection to Isabel, the parents who had been sneering just moments before suddenly became incredibly friendly. They crowded around, trying to introduce themselves, add me on social media, and discuss educational strategies. Isabel kept me protectively in her arms. I'm sorry, my husband is an introvert. He's not very social. Of course, Ms. Grant, we're not the kind of people who use their money to bully others. If your husband doesn't like it, we won't bother him. Hearing the thinly veiled barbs directed at him, Brandon, who had never been so humiliated, turned pale with rage. He looked to his wife for comfort, hoping she would defend him the way Isabel had defended me. But Vanessa hadn't looked at him once. Her eyes were fixed squarely on me. Being stared at so nakedly by her made my skin crawl. But I was no longer the man I used to be. I raised my head and met her gaze with a cold stare of my own. Vanessa's eyes were bloodshot, her teeth biting down on her lip so hard it had turned white. She looked like she was suppressing an immense rage, as if she might lunge forward and tear me to shreds at any second. I couldn't understand it. We had both achieved the lives we dreamed of. What could she possibly be so angry about? Isabel noticed her stare. Her eyes narrowed, warning Vanessa, "Do you have a problem with my husband?" "No, of course not," Vanessa mumbled, finally tearing her gaze away. She clutched the car keys in her hand, her knuckles white, and stood silently to the side, lost in thought. Back at home, Isabel curled up in my arms, her voice tinged with a familiar sourness. "That woman, Vanessa, she doesn't have a thing for my precious husband, does she?" "No," I replied with absolute certainty. She wasn't interested in me. She just couldn't stand the thought of me having a better life without her. In her mind, the failures of her past life were all my fault. This life was supposed to be my penance. I was supposed to be poor and miserable, consumed with regret for ever leaving her. She never imagined that without her, I'd be doing so much better. Isabel pressed on, still sounding jealous. "And what about you? Are you still thinking about your old classmate?" I sighed and gave her a gentle kiss. "Don't be silly." "Of course not." Isabel didn't say any more. She just held me tighter and deepened the kiss. The next day, when I took my daughter to school, Vanessa was waiting for me at the gate. "Caleb, we need to talk." We went to a coffee shop around the corner from the school. The moment we sat down, a triumphant smile spread across Vanessa's face, as if she had me right back in the palm of her hand. "You may have married Isabel Grant in this life, but admit it, you can't forget me." I just stared at her. Why was she always so confident? "Can you just get to the point?" "Caleb, do you know," she began, a faraway look in her eyes. "In our last life, at this very time, I still wasn't pregnant. We were still traveling from city to city, looking for the best IVF clinics. Back then, I resented you. I wanted to be a mother so badly. You couldn't support my dreams, and you couldn't even give me a child. Being reborn, I chose the life I wanted. There's nothing wrong with that." I nodded, agreeing with her. In our last life, it wasn't just her suffering. I was in agony, too. In her eyes, I was the biggest failure of a man, a waste of air. I still didn't know how I had managed to endure that pain. Vanessa continued. "When I saw you this time, with your 7-year-old daughter, my first thought was shock. I wondered what kind of woman could make you willing to be a stepfather. The moment I saw it was Isabel Grant, it all made sense. Money is a powerful motivator, after all. I'm not a stepfather," I told her plainly. Her eyes lit up. "So, your child. You and Isabel adopted her." "I knew it." How could someone else so easily have the one thing I could never get in my last life? I almost didn't have the heart to shatter her delusion. But I had to. My daughter was carried for 10 months by my wife. No IVF. The pregnancy was perfectly smooth. She was born the year after we got married. Impossible. Vanessa shot to her feet, her voice a raw, heartbroken scream. That's absolutely impossible. Caleb, you can't have children. I just watched her completely unhinged. I didn't laugh. I didn't get angry. My face was a blank mask. In that moment, I truly felt that the woman standing before me was pathetic. After a long pause, I finally spoke. The reason I agreed to meet you today isn't because I still have feelings for you. It's because there's something I never told you. Vanessa, have you ever considered that maybe you're the one who's infertile? Impossible. Vanessa's expression turned manic. My daughter is 7 years old. How can you say I'm infertile? I get it. You're just trying to provoke me, aren't you? Let me tell you, Caleb, your little plan has backfired. I will never regret my decision. Never. I'm just a normal person. Brandon could give me the resources I needed. What's wrong with wanting a better life? And I didn't just rely on his family. I made a name for myself in a major international city with my own 2 hands. I opened my own studio. Who among our old classmates has achieved what I have? You can't deny it. My life is a success compared to my last one. She grew more and more agitated, as if trying to prove something to herself. I sipped my coffee, letting her talk. It wasn't until she noticed my silence that she demanded angrily, "What's wrong? Cat got your tongue." Vanessa, in our last life, I truly loved you. Because I loved you, when I got your medical report, I hid the fact that you were infertile. Looking back, I was an idiot. No matter what your mother said to me, that I couldn't even do the one thing a man is supposed to do, that I should just become a eunuch, I never said a word in my defense. Because I knew how proud you were, how much you cared about saving face. I figured if someone had to take the blame, it might as well be me. But I was wrong. I thought you would understand. I never imagined that in your eyes, I would become the man who looked down on you for being poor, who resented your failed career, a useless man who couldn't give you a child. You've worked hard in this life, and you are successful. But Vanessa, there is nothing left between us. The only reason I met you today was to tell you this secret I've kept for so many years. I don't want to be tired anymore. In our last life, keeping that secret, I was just so tired. Before I could finish, Vanessa cut me off. You think I'm going to believe your nonsense? My daughter is 7 years old. She looks so much like me. And while you can doubt the father, you can never doubt the mother. Don't be ridiculous. Me, infertile? You got to be kidding me. Of course. She had always been confident. How could she ever admit that she was the barren one? I said nothing more and turned to leave. She grabbed my sleeve. I didn't look at her face, but I could hear the catch in her voice. Caleb, in this life without me, have you ever regretted it, even for a single second? I didn't turn back. My voice was calm. Never. I hope we never see each other again. And if we do, we should act like strangers. I wrenched my arm from her grasp and walked away without looking back. A woman's suspicion is a powerful thing. The very next day, Vanessa went to a clinic for a full physical. The moment she got the report, the word infertile burned into her eyes. Still in disbelief, she ordered a DNA test. The girl was not her biological daughter. All those years of enduring what she thought was a necessary sacrifice. All to build a life, all those years of enduring what she thought was a necessary sacrifice. All to build a life she could be proud of, only to find out she'd been wearing the world's biggest pair of horns the entire time. She finally understood. Her supposed pregnancy had been nothing more than a tumor growing in her abdomen. The reason her baby bump was small was because the tumor was small. All the morning sickness, all the discomfort, it was the tumor tormenting her. In the end, the tumor was removed, and her husband brought home a child from one of his affairs, passing it off as hers. Because she knew nothing about it, she believed him completely. And so, she began her meticulous revenge. She poisoned her in-laws' food, leaving them in a vegetative state. She schemed to transfer all the company's assets into her name, forcing Brandon out. She didn't even spare the child. She left them buried in debt, with nowhere to turn. To support himself and the girl, Brandon took whatever work he could find. A year later, diagnosed with a terminal illness, Brandon cornered Vanessa in the company's underground parking garage. He plunged a knife into her stomach. Again and again. "Did I force you to marry me?" he roared, his voice weak with rage and sickness. "You ate my food, you live in my house, my parents paid for you to study abroad. Everything you have today is because of my family. All that happened was you got cheated on. Besides, you're a barren hen who can't even lay an egg. You should be grateful you have a daughter to take care of you in your old age, and you destroyed us like this. You cheap, gold-digging bitch. Did I force you to do any of it? Why do you blame everything on me?" As she lay dying in a pool of her own blood, Vanessa finally understood. She was a disgusting person, always running from responsibility, evading the truth, pushing all the blame onto the men in her life. In her past life, she had suspected there might be something wrong with her, but she had habitually shifted the blame to me. She had ignored the knowing looks from the doctor when she'd accompanied me to the clinic, ignored him telling me, "Sir, your sperm quality is excellent." She just hadn't wanted to admit it. So, in her past life, she had silently agreed with her mother's assessment of me, turned a blind eye to my suffering and humiliation, and eventually turned to alcohol to numb her own failures. Even her lack of artistic success, she had blamed entirely on me. Right up until the day she died, right up until our final meeting after being reborn, she couldn't admit she was wrong. But now, she finally saw that she was a monster, hideous and unrepentant. She deserved to lose my love. She never deserved a husband who had thought of nothing but her well-being. The next time I heard about Vanessa was on the news. Brandon, having completely lost his mind, had thrown the little girl from a balcony before ending Vanessa's life with multiple stab wounds. I felt a pang of sorrow, but that was all. Everything that had happened before was now like smoke in the wind. It was all over. I don't know if Vanessa will be reborn again. I only pray that our paths never cross again. Isabel must have sensed my mood. She wrapped her arms around me from behind. "What's wrong, honey? You seem down." I smiled, pulling Isabel into my arms, and watched our daughter playing with her model cars. The window reflected the image of our happy little family of 3. I laughed. Turning to Isabel, I gently squeezed her cheek. "With you two here, how could I ever be unhappy? I knew, in this life, I had a new beginning. With the love of my family, I would never be alone again." The end.